Hey, it's Jason here at Fraser Valley Rose Farm. Well, I'm here with one of my favorite roses. This is Charles DeMille's, and I made an earlier video on this one under the title 5 Purple Roses. So if you want to see how this one looks in bloom, go look up that video. Now, what I wanted to show you today is not something about its flowers, but about its growth habit. And to do that, I'm going to have to pick up the camera. Okay, there's its foliage. Looking downwards, it isn't just in one big clump. In fact, what you'll find if you start to crawl along the ground here is that it has something called suckers. Now these are a good, 2 to 3 feet away from the base of the rose. This one here is even further, and it just continues to wander. And it's suckering outwards from the base of the plant. So why is it doing that? What does it mean? Well, it's just like I propagate roses in my greenhouse. I take cuttings and stick them and everything else. What the rose does in this case is it's naturally trying to propagate itself. So from the base of the rose, it has a stem that runs underground some distance from the main rose. And I've seen it on some roses. Here it's 5 or 6 feet because I've kept it under control. But I've seen it on some roses go up to 10 or 12 or 15 feet. Just a big sucker that runs out there and then creates a new rose. If you think about it, roses are in the family with raspberries and blackberries and other brambles, and not even that distantly related. So it actually has that tendency already to begin to sucker and thicket. Now at this point I wanted to talk about the term suckering, because you'll hear it on roses as a universally bad thing, and there is a distinction to be made. I made a video on own root versus grafted roses. This one is growing on its own roots, and so all of the suckers that you see running out there, those are true suckers from the same genetic material. So each one is genetically identical to Charles DeMille's, an ancient gallica rose with some exceptional qualities. What you may find in your grafted roses is that when you see a sucker emerge from the base of the rose, it has weird, unremarkable flowers or a growth habit that you don't like at all. That's because the grafted rootstock is genetically different than the top stalk of the rose, and those you definitely have to remove. And typically, I mean, there are some that have some value, but typically they're of no value to hold on to and put into your garden. What I'm going to show you how to do today is to take the suckers out of the ground and make new plants out of them, which is something you can do with this. But first, just really quickly, some of the advantages and disadvantages of roses that sucker. So, like I say, this is an ancient and quite garden-worthy rose, so I don't mind that it suckers around a little bit. The advantages are that, like I say, it's easy to propagate from, but also that if you have a neglected patch of your yard, if someplace you'd like a low hedge or you don't mind where a rose thickets a little bit, it can make a wonderful display quite quickly with very, very little intervention on your part. It'll just do it all on its own. One of the downsides is exactly that. If you don't have that plan for your garden, it's going to take some maintenance to try to keep this under control. And when I find in my garden here, I keep this one under fairly good control with about 2 sessions a year of about a half hour, just going in there with a shovel, separating out the suckers and pulling them out. Sometimes I propagate from it, and sometimes I don't. So that's the way to keep it under control. So what I wanted to show you now is how to propagate from it. And what I'm going to do is just going to pull up a section here, and it was as easy as that. What I have here is a section of the sucker with some roots on it, and you can see it actually has little roots at the base of the plant there, and it has some leaves on it. So all I have to do, and I showed you this on my video on dividing perennials, is all I have to have is a section with some roots on it and with some leaves on it, and we're all set to go. You just stick that into a pot, and good chance, like in my experience, about 90-95% chance that this will make a viable rose, and it does it quickly. Like in my case, I made this one here is a rose that I took from the ground. It's a different rose. This is Rose de Rescht that I took from the ground about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And if I tip this out, you can see that it's already rooted. And that's, as I say, 4 or 5 weeks. This will be totally ready for sale in the spring. So, one other quick discussion is which roses do this? Well, you're going to find it more commonly in some of the species roses. So I find this in the rugosa roses quite commonly. I find this in Rosa Davidii, some of the Scots roses or Scots bred roses. So the closer they are to wild roses, more often they have this suckering habit. And a lot of times the more cultivated roses or more bred roses like the hybrid teas, the floribundas, the grandifloras, they don't have this feature of suckering. Well, I know this was a quick video, but I wanted to catch it before the sun came up and my light gets terrible. So if you have any further questions on suckering, please leave them below the video.